we go. Well, there we are. All right. Okay, there we are. Let's see. I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to stay on this camera right now. This is a very awkward setup if you haven't noticed. Down here on the floor. Okay, let's get this going. Hi there, my name is Andrew Woodward. I am the owner of a company called Aero-Gro, and we are dedicated to helping people grow indoors using hydroponics or aeroponics. And this tonight, if this is your first time watching this program, welcome, first of all. And I want to let you know that this is a fine point to jump in. You don't necessarily have to watch these videos in order, but what we're going to be doing tonight is kind of loosely, well, no, not loosely. It is pretty tightly based on what we did last week, which was take a look at these grow buckets. And these are aeroponic grow buckets that can be used to grow larger plants indoors aeroponically. These buckets are great for anything that's stalky, viney, or has heavy hanging fruit of any kind, or heavy buds, anything that's going to produce any kind of fruit with any kind of weight and mass to it. The bucket system is the way to go, and this bucket system is what we talked about last week. And what we're going to do this week, which is pretty exciting, is we're going to take all of this and we're going to put it together again once more on camera, so you can see how that all goes together very easily. And then we're going to take it and we're going to put it in the tent and we're going to set it up. I'm going to show you the LED light and I'm going to show you the fan and the setup and how this can work inside of a grow tent like this. But what I do want you to keep in mind is that there are many ways to do this. This is not necessarily the only way. It's certainly not being provided as the only correct way. Certainly not. But this is a great way to do it, and it works very well. It's been tried and tested here, right here in this tent, and it works fantastically. And what we're going to do after we set it up is next week we're going to actually put the plants into the unit. We can't put the plants in tonight because they aren't quite old enough. I checked them, and if there was time I was going to plant them tonight and show you that as well. But let's let them go for another week or so until they're tall enough and strong enough to survive that transplantation into these buckets. And then next week I'll show you them being planted. But tonight we'll put this together again. I'll show you how all that works. And let's see, I'm going to do this on two different cameras. So if you bear with me a second, I'm going to switch this camera over to camera one. There we go. That gives us kind of a close-up of what you may remember from last week's video, which was the 3D printed plastic piece here that holds all of your bits and pieces, your timers and your pumps, which are labeled. Everything on here is labeled. So again, alphabet soup, everything's A to A, B to B, C to C, and so forth. You absolutely cannot do it wrong doing it this way the first time. And what's great about it is if you're new to, this is what I like about it anyway, if you're new to aeroponics or hydroponics and you're looking to get started and you need some sort of a system that you feel more comfortable with, that's already been thought through and experimented with, and it's known to work to get started. What you want is something that's foolproof the first time. You want it to be very easy to put together so you don't make any mistakes, so that you have one good solid example of how a system should work. And then from that point on, you can of course experiment with it and do other things with it and make it your own and really kind of customize it to your own needs. But if you start with the first one, known to be a good working model, it gives you something to follow from that point forward. And that's why I like these kits. I've always liked kits for the same reason, for that reason. It gives you a great starting point. So, okay, with that in mind, I'm going to go back to this tight camera, and we have, of course, a spot for a timer. Flip it over this way, sorry. A timer is going to go in here. Timer is going to go in here. One for our spray out, psst, psst. One for our return, back to the nutrient tank. And of course the pumps which run those two, or are run by those two timers, are down here and they snap into place. There's one for the out spray, one for the return line, and it goes together like so. And then it hangs on the, if you remember, it hangs on the side of the bucket like that, which is pretty convenient. So we take a timer, and if you look on the back here, this one's marked return, right? So that just simply goes right into the return slot there. And then it pops into place, just like that. And then you have one for the, show you this on the, yep, on the camera there. It says spray out. Is that in focus? Let's see here. Make sure I'm sort of somewhat in focus here. Sorry, give me a second here. All right, right about there. All right, that should work a little better. Okay, so we've got our spray out. That's going to go into the slot marked, oddly enough, spray out. All right, very simple. Couldn't be any simpler, right? So far, so good. All right, then on the back here, again, everything is labeled alphabet soup, A, A, B, B, C, C, if you can see that on camera. Can you see that? I think you can see that. Yeah. Everything's labeled. Yeah, I think you can see that. Okay. And then we have our pumps, which are right here. These are the two pumps. Here's the return. Yeah, that one's also, you can see that, return labeled. That one pops in, of course, into the one marked return, which actually, side note, last week in the video, I didn't have this marked. I didn't have it labeled. That will be a thing for those who want to buy this as a kit. Everything will be labeled the way you see it tonight. Probably a bit neater than the one you see tonight, which was put together pretty quickly. But yeah, okay. All right, return and spray out. There we go. So on the back of this now, what do we have? We have our spray out timer, which controls how often the nutrient solution is sprayed on the roots, right? And that is going to be, in a second here, connected to this pump down here marked spray out. And then we have our return timer, which is how often the nutrient solution which is left on the bottom of the grow chamber is picked up and returned to the nutrient solution tank, which this timer controls this pump. That's the one that does the work there, right? Okay, so very, very simply, again, alphabet soup, I keep saying that. Here we go, return line, spray pump. Let's hook up A to A. Okay, I've got A on the timer, and I have A on one of the pumps, so those go together, of course. If I can do it with one hand, this will be pretty good. I definitely will never be a card trick magician in Las Vegas because I can't work with my hands like that. All right. C goes to C on the, right here, B. So I'm sorry. B on the other pump goes to B on the second timer, just like that, B to B, like that. And then we have C, and those are power cords. Those are the power supplies for the two timers. All right. So we have what's called a pigtail for that, since there are two timers that need power. And by the way, they are providing the power to the pumps. So you only need to provide the power to the timers, and then the timers pass the power on to the pumps. Okay, then we have the pigtail I was telling you about. I'll show you that all alone here. That's a pigtail. Simply takes a single power source and splits it into two. So what we're going to do, I'm going to rest this down for a second, and I'm going to plug in both of the C into C, C into C. This pigtail, let me show you that real quick. This pigtail is labeled in such a way that, there we go. Both of them are labeled C because they're both about to go into something labeled C. So that's the only instance where you'll see two of a thing labeled with the same letter is on the pigtail, just like that. Okay, so two of them are labeled C. C into C for the one timer, C into C for the other timer, and then you're left with the power cord. The power cord will be plugged into this power supply, which is the standard 12-volt power supply, which would come with the kit, obviously. And this would simply plug into this, I won't plug it into the wall quite yet because we have a few other things to do first, but that's how that is assembled. And that is now, at least the electronic part's ready to go. That's good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the tubes back into it the way they're supposed to go. We're not going to put them on the buckets yet. We're going to wait until we're inside the tent to do that. But on the outside here where we're playing around, getting everything ready, we are going to hook the tubes up to this unit, okay? And we won't hook the other ends of the tubes up yet is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so here again, we have very clearly marked B tube. B goes into, take a wild guess, it goes into the tube on the side here marked B, so correct. B goes into B. You are the grand prize winner. There you go. B into B. Boom, like that. Now, really, obviously, you're going to want to do that. If you're doing this for real, you want to push that in a bit more snugly. Make sure that's really seated. Yeah, like that. Okay. And then we have D. Okay. D. And we'll talk about what all these do in a minute, but we're just matching up letters right now. D goes to D. Up, up. Then we have A, of course, over here. There we go. A goes into A on the pump, like that. All right. And then we have C, right there. Goes into C on the pump, just like that. Boop. Yeah, I'm gonna push these in a little bit harder. Yeah, just like that. Okay, that should be good. All right, good to go, done. Okay, now this octopus-looking thing, this octopus-looking creature from the great deep sea is ready to go, and it hangs on the side of the bucket. Like so. Let me adjust this camera a little bit so you can see this a little bit. Oh, you can see our cat door. Okay, wasn't supposed to see that. Let's see here. You may even see a cat in a minute. That'll be the entertainment for tonight. It's going to be one of several cats that might wander on stage. So I'm waiting for that to happen. Okay, so this is your entire unit all assembled, ready to go. Front and back. All those letters matched up. Super easy. Super easy. And again, that just hangs on the side of the bucket. Now what we're going to do is take a look at the tent. Now this tent, you don't have to have, strictly speaking, a grow tent to do this, by the way. If you want to grow indoors, you can use any available space can be converted into a grow space. If you have an extra closet, if you have an extra bathroom or space in a large bathroom, or you have space in your basement or your attic or a garage, or depending on where you live, even in a greenhouse or out in a shed or anything like that, you can grow absolutely anywhere, hydroponically and aeroponically, if you follow just a few rules. One of the rules, obviously, is you want it to be safe. You want to work in an area where your electric supply is safe. You don't want to put these components somewhere where they're going to be subject to abuse in some way, obviously. Although I will say this: these now this is a this is designed to be very quick, snap together sort of kit. These components, even though are very robust, they're designed to just do a job. And I pick units based on the reliability. I test a lot of these things. So the ones that I wind up using are the ones that really have suffered the torture testing that I've put them through on an everyday basis. So the things that I show you here on the show, and the things that I included, certainly any kits that I sell, would be the components that I know work really well, obviously. So that's what you're seeing here. And these are scaled down. I mean, these are great. Okay, what these are great for, this scale of timer and return pumps rather, is they're great for smaller setups like this where you have a couple of buckets, maybe. 1 to 3 buckets, let's say, something like that. Now, Once you're going beyond that, I probably would recommend one of two things. Either if you're growing one thing, let's say you want to grow 6 of one type of plant, and you want all of your control to be centralized. You want one nutrient bucket to feed all 6 of your grow buckets. You want one timer to control the cycling for all 6 of your buckets. In that case, you would need larger versions of what you're seeing here. Maybe not the timers, but at least for certainly the pumps would need to be larger to supply 6 buckets at a time, right? But essentially the concept would be exactly the same. Or you could go with another option, which is that since these are so inexpensive, relatively speaking, you could get whole panels like this and just rinse and repeat. You could just have several of these. You could have one of these for each bucket if you wanted to do that. Now, the setup would be such that you would have, let's say, just as an example, you would have 6 buckets, grow buckets, set up with the 6 of these. And then the lines that go to the nutrient tank would simply all be going to a single tank. Or you could use a splitter, is what I typically will do. So the nutrient tank would have, let's say you had 3 buckets. The nutrient tank would have 3 lines coming out of it with a splitter, and those would provide the nutrients to all 3 buckets. And then the return would be the same way. There'd be 3 return lines. They would all join back into one, and then it would go back into the master nutrient bucket, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better word. And yeah, so that's another great way to go. I'm thinking about setting up in the next few months anyway, setting up a kind of a sample rig of what that would look like, where we have 3 of these running simultaneously. But for now, we're going to set this up to grow one plant, and we're going to watch it grow together on camera. We're going to watch this over as the weeks go. We're going to, if things go right, great. We'll talk about it. If things go wrong, we'll talk about that too. And you'll see the way the process works using this exact system that you're watching being built right here, and that you can build yourself through the kit. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up all the way. This is, by the way, a 2-foot deep, 24-inch deep by 4 foot wide, 48 inches wide by 60 inches high, 5 feet high. 5 feet high, 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep. 24 by 48 by 60. That's the size of that tent. And there are some features we can talk about in a minute, but the main thing is you want something that fits your space, obviously, and that fits your grow, depending on what you're growing. If you're growing something that's going to grow humongously tall, like vining plants like cucumbers or something like that, you would, I'm sure, want to go with something taller than this. That's just going to be an absolute mess. But you could certainly grow, I've grown tomatoes in tents like this, and peppers, and certainly there are those out there who grow cannabis in tents like this. And it just really depends on the size of your space and what you're trying to grow. But essentially what you're doing is you're concentrating the light, maximizing the use of your light. Because as you can see here, this is just a small LED panel, but this light is being reflected off of everything, making maximum use of the light that you have. And that light is bouncing up and under the canopy, and it's reaching parts of the leaf that otherwise it would not reach if it was simply only shining down from above. So a tent is very useful for maximizing the efficiency of your lights. That's very much number one, its purpose. So that's that. Now let's put these in the tent. What we have here is the nutrient tank. Oh, another thing I want to mention is the nutrient tank can be placed outside of the tent if you wish to do that. I've done that in the past. This time I'm going to put it right inside the tent with it. It's nice and self-contained. We're going to be watching the whole thing on camera anyway. It's all going to be one place. No reason not to do it. But you can certainly put this outside and put your grow buckets inside. That's another way to go. Put that right there. Then we're just going to take this, put it right here. Okay, I might have to swap those. I don't remember offhand how I had these hooked up, actually. We'll have to take a look at that in a second. All right, so let's see how's that look on camera. Yeah, you can see that pretty well. Now, what I am going to do You can't see me doing this from the camera, but I'm going to adjust the iPhone here so that you have a closer view. Okay. All right, like that. And then I'm going to switch the camera over. There we go. Okay. There we have it. All right, now let me just adjust the, make sure your focus is good here. Make sure you guys are getting taken care of. Well, see, normally I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be standing at a tent. I'd be back at my space, which is all set up already. But today we're doing something cool, so I had to wing it. All right, here we go. Let me plug this in, make sure this is all functional. Make sure I don't unplug the really important stuff. It's a little nerve-wracking. Okay. Oops, we have power not on one of them. Let me see what's going on here. Oops, I'm like, oh, we got all sorts of stuff going on. Bear with me here, folks. All right. Okay, let's see. What do we have going on here? Did I not plug it in? What did I not do? Probably didn't do something. Oh, there we go. Whoops, whoa. Okay. I don't want it to run yet. Not quite yet, anyway. Oops. Okay. Oops, I do have a loose wire on there. Sorry about that. I should have checked that before I got on camera. I've been tearing this apart left and right for days now. I should have checked that everything was tight. So it's not. What's happening here? Okay, tell you what I'm going to do. Oh, no, I think I got lucky. All right. I was going to fix it right on camera, but maybe I won't even have to. All right. Oh, well. You guys got lucky. You escaped my repair process on camera. Actually, that'd be fun to do one time. I'll have to make sure I break something so I can fix it on camera. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to hook up the tubing here, and I'm going to take my headphones off because they are sort of getting in my way here. And I'll keep on working here. So what we have is, again, it's alphabet soup. We have a tube marked A that went into A on the pump over here, but we also have, whoops, turn that off. We also have an inlet, let me show you the labeling here, on the grow chamber, okay, for A. And that leads down to the sprayer inside of the chamber. This is the chamber where the plant will actually grow, remember? And if you see that on camera, you can see the sprayer right there, the spray head. That's the white piece with the blue spray nozzle on it right there. And this just hangs on the side. The A tube gets plugged into the A inlet. That's what supplies the nutrient solution to the spray head, okay, or the spray nozzle, we'll say. Then you have C. We're going over to the other bucket here. C, again, is your return line. And this is picking up the nutrient. Oh, boy, that's a tight one. I'll show you that on camera. This has the line also that extends down into the bucket. So this is picking up the nutrient solution, okay? And then we have, all the way in the back here, we have D. Show you that on camera. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's marked D right here. This one wraps around. And let's see, am I going to be able to show that? Yeah, I think so. If I can swing this around. All right. Sorry about that. I keep blocking the view here, but I need to plug this into the side. Yeah, all right, I'll show you this. I'm going to swing the whole thing around. The side of the grow chamber. Oops. You have, I'm sorry, that's B. Ah, see? The labeling saved me. That's B. That's not D. D's right here. Ah, see that? That saved me just now. I was trying to plug into the wrong place, but then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the right place. Yeah, so Let's see here. So D goes into D, and then B goes into B. See, that was simple. Once I figured out what I was doing wrong, boom, there it is. Boom, ready to go. Okay, so you have your nutrient tank, you have your grow chamber, and then you have your control, which just hangs on the side. And then we're going to take a look at putting some nutrient solution into it, just faking it, because really I'm not putting real solution in it tonight in the demo. I'm just going to show you how it works, and then I'll put the real stuff in off camera. But this is going to go into the nutrient tank. We're just pretending this is real solution. That's about a gallon. That is now spraying. I wanted to show that to you. And then, yeah, in just a few moments now, the return, when that timer goes down to 0, the return line will turn on. It will suck the nutrient solution from the grow chamber up through the pump and return it to the nutrient tank. And if you remember from last week, it's going to return it through the D line, and the D line is just going to spit it out, and then it's going to splash. There it goes. There it goes. That's it. So it'll splash, and that actually aerates the nutrient solution, which is very important for maintaining, well, for preventing the really bad stuff. We'll put it that way. It goes a long way. So then, if you remember this part, the 3D printed piece right here actually holds a sponge, grow sponge, with the plant in it. That next week when we watch this, we'll take it and we'll do the actual planting into the unit here. And you'll see how that works. But yep, there it's spraying. Yep. Hopefully I didn't just get the phone. Okay, so that's working great. And like I said, this is a rinse and repeat thing. You literally could set this up for however many buckets you wanted, really, if you wanted to repeat these units. So for those who are watching this for the first time, this piece, anything you see in green here is 3D printed, right? And that's part of the kit that's available. And also I'll be providing, I think I said this last week, I'll be providing what's called the STL file for those who would like to print it themselves. They might have a 3D printer at home, but I certainly include this as part of the kit. And it's indestructible. This stuff is really just insanely tough and great for wet environments because it's food safe and it's completely inert. There's nothing to it. So yeah, there we have it. So let me switch back the cameras over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some handheld, and I'm going to show you a couple of the features on the tent here. I might have to unplug this. Well, we'll let it run for a little bit. I'm going to show some of the features on the tent here because what you're seeing here is kind of what I would consider the core setup. If you wanted a complete indoor grow setup, you would need these components. You would need the setup we just put together. You would need a reflective, contained space like this in a grow tent or another environment, a bathroom or closet or whatever, where you're reflecting light. Ideally, you would want to be reflecting that light and making use of that light. And you want, ideally, one of the other things that's great about these tents is it's very waterproof. There's actually a kind of like it's a liner on the bottom here, but it's a completely waterproof liner. And I have had situations where I didn't put a hose in tightly enough and I came down in the morning and the whole liner was full of water, full of nutrient solution. But nothing went anywhere because it was completely contained inside of this liner. That's a really nice feature of these tents. So I can't say for sure that they are included in all or any tents that you get online, but certainly look for a liner as one of the features that is a must-have. And another thing that I'm going to show you on the handheld here is, let's see here. Let's go with camera 1. Okay. So one of the other things that you want to keep in mind, always so many cords here. Sorry, bear with me here. As you get more into this is a fan. So what happens is when you set up a tent like this, you're also trapping the heat inside of that grow chamber. Now that can be a really great thing if you're set up in a basement or someplace really cold. Trapping that heat can be advantageous, but eventually, since trapping that heat is going to result in a temperature that's pretty high, as you can see there, you're going to need to ventilate, right? So this is how you do it. You have one of these fans, and you have what looks basically like a dryer hose, if you've seen those before. This hose is 4 inches wide, and they're made out of like a plasticky material, and that runs to a window in this case in the back. You can't see it on camera, unfortunately. It's all blacked out for the camera, but it runs to a window behind the curtain there. And it goes right outside. It has a little flapper on it, and it just sort of controls itself, and when it needs to vent, it vents. And that's how that works. Now, this timer, or it's not timer, I'm sorry. This control for the fan, it has several different modes. You can have it turn on based on a high temperature, which you can set, or you can set it on a low temperature trigger, or a high humidity trigger, or a low humidity trigger, or you can just turn it on, or you can just turn it off, and then you can turn it up about 5 different levels. So it's pretty clever, actually. It works really well, and that controls this fan, right? And Stevie controls everything. What do you think, buddy? How'd I do? You've seen my work before. Oh yeah, careful. They might get you. So endless fun. Yeah, it'll keep him entertained for hours. So Stevie's going to keep an eye on that to make sure that's running as we take a look at the LED panel. Cool. So this is a fairly small, I want to blind out my camera there, fairly small LED panel, as you can see based on the size of my hand here. And it will provide all of the light that we need for this growth, certainly for a single plant, no problem at all. And it's more than enough for 2 or 3 plants here, in here, actually. I've done that with no problem. But these attach up top here. Let me see if I can show you this. Yeah. So I have some different types of connectors that I use to hang things from the bars. This green one you see here is actually a 3D printed one that I make right here. But these often come with the lights, these cables and so forth that you can use to hang. And there are many different ways to attach these. Right now I have this in a fixed position, but there are also versions of this that are pulleys, and all kinds of different versions. I set the focus here. All kinds of different versions of these things depending on what you want to do. And I can show you more of those on camera at another time. And then I actually hooked this up. This is driven by Alexa, so I can control it from anywhere in the house, or I can control it with another programmable timer from the phone. I can control it that way, or voice control it as well, turn it on or off. Whoops. So, whoops. Did I just lose my feed? What just happened here? Hold on. Sorry about that. Whoa, I did. 1 second. There we go. All right, we're back. Okay, so that is basically what I wanted to show you tonight, other than I'm about to show you some of the plants and what they're doing over here, but this is kind of the core system, if you will, for this type of grow. And next week we'll be planting in here. We'll be going over. I'm going to show you the seedling in a second that we're going to be planting, but it is a Sakura tomato plant. And that's actually a tomato plant that I include with the Aero-Gro Genesis garden, but this time we're going to grow it big in one of these. Instead of growing it in a tiny garden, we're going to let it go and see what it wants to do. So that's what we'll be growing. And it's a good analog. A tomato plant is a good analog for almost any type of fruiting plant that you might want to grow. So that's what we're going to take a look at. And right now what I'm going to show you is how these other plants are doing before I let you go here. All right, I'm going to switch over the camera again. Take a look at. Okay, now first I have to show you these peppers because I'm so happy about these peppers. We got a beautiful, beautiful hot pepper. Oh God, it's so lush in here. I can't even get a focus on it because it's just, there's so much going on in here. Let's see here. Let me see if I can focus. There we go. Yeah, it's back there if you can see that. I've got, oh geez, there's hardly any light here. Yeah, I've got hardly any light here. Sorry about that. I'm set up a little differently tonight because of this tent reveal, but I'll show you some other stuff. Here we go. Now we have some, what do we have here? These are the Micro Tom tomatoes that I've been growing for a while now, and they're coming in beautifully. They come in small clusters. They grow in these small gardens really well. They love hydroponics. They're just happy little critters. And then, let's see, what else can I show you here tonight? We have a few more tomatoes down here. Oh, very hard to see in this lighting. Yeah, sorry about that. I'll have to set up a little better next week to show you the plants. But yeah, all right. So that's basically what is going on this week. And again, join me next week and we'll check out the actual planting of the tomato, Sakura tomato, and we will go from there. And we'll be talking about feeding. We'll be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. So remember to like and subscribe and join us in this community and join us in this grow and join us in this fantastic movement for indoor growing. Hope to see you there. And don't forget to comment down there. Let me know what you want to talk about. I'll do my best to make a video about it. I do promise you that. Thanks for joining us here tonight. I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, if I can get back to the board.